Hello everyone, I'm Chris Kotlowski with the Rise Up 21 program. This segment with Michelle Helland.
Hi everybody.
She is my go-to person for our lifestyle education and also just our nutritional support. Does that sound great?
That sounds great.
Want
I
to
love
add
that.
anything about that?
Lifestyle educator. I've done the research, so you don't have to.
I love that. And one of the things that I will say about meeting Michelle, I don't know how many years ago. 7 years ago. Oh, how many days?
7 and like 3 months. And maybe like 2 days.
Things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned when we first met and building our friendship together was the added importance of what we eat. Michelle has her own story, you have your own story, and we become aware of our own bodies and our cues and the intelligence of our bodies communicating to us. And a huge part of the Rise Up 21 program is our nutrition. So we're going to touch base on, we're going to keep it simple. With your daily food choices, let's talk about macros. And I've said this before, and some of my closest friends, our closest friends, will say, what are you talking about macros? So let's just talk about our macros. Let's start with protein.
Okay, so macros fall into 3, sometimes 4, depending where you look, different subjects. So macros are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. And the 4th subject of macros could be alcohol.
Interesting.
I read that when I was researching.
Love your research. Many people will probably go right to that question to contact you on the side.
Yeah, right.
When you say fat, well, first of all, what are macros, and then what are proteins, and what are carbohydrates? And when you say fat, most people are going to be like, why would I want to eat fat? We're talking about healthy fats.
Right.
Give some examples about healthy fats.
So we need our macros to survive. You need to have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins to survive. And healthy fats are olives, nuts, avocados. And what fats do is they bathe your basic cells. They give your basic cells what they need, the nutrients, so they can be able to work.
Interesting. So what falls under the category of protein?
Protein, it can be an animal source or a plant source.
Okay.
In order to get enough protein from a plant source, you really have to do a lot of combining to get the complete essentials of amino acids that you would get from an animal source.
Okay.
But when you eat protein from an animal, try and eat wild-caught seafood, grass-fed cows. That way it prevents any chemicals or additives or antibiotics in your food. And we need proteins to survive. Protein has 4 calories per, what am I trying to say? 4 calories per
What are you trying to say?
protein calorie. And fat has 9.
I do read mine.
Yes.
I was just not reading that.
I was just kind of having a struggle there. I'm not sure what that happened. Blip.
I love your blips. Carbohydrates. I love my Mountain Dew, Snickers, and M&Ms. When you say carbohydrates, the old me would have thought, yes, she's talking about soda.
Right.
Let's talk about our carbohydrates, because now I know, let's talk about fruits and vegetables. It's very important, and actually a free source of 0 calories. So talk about that.
Okay, so carbohydrates, a free source would be your vegetables. Vegetables contain carbohydrates. Fruit. Sweet potatoes also contain carbohydrates. So do Snicker bars.
They're just the bad carbohydrates.
They all fall into the carbohydrate realm. And you need carbohydrates for energy. So it's very important. It's 4 calories.
And when you say that, I know a lot of people, if you don't eat, you crash and you might get irritable. And when that happens, what should they turn to for nutrition?
So there is really, it's very important to eat, obviously, and you do crash. You need to keep your blood sugar level even. And when you eat, you want to have a good protein and a good fat and a good carb to keep your blood sugar level. Unfortunately, if you have just an apple, what's going to happen is your blood sugar level is going to spike, and then you're going to crash. So if you have that apple with peanut butter or a nut butter that helps keep your blood sugar level, so you don't have that crash. So you really want to try and focus your meals and your snacks around a good vegetable, a good fat, and a good protein, and hummus and red bell pepper. That would be a
Delicious.
really good source. If you're going to have breakfast, eggs and vegetables. Lunch could be grilled chicken and salad.
A lot of segues. Thank you for talking about those areas. So when you receive your nutritional email, you're going to receive a food chart, and we have kept it very simple. Up in the corner, you're going to say, oh, suggested meal category choices. Breakfast, choose a fruit, protein, and fat. Then you have your columns where it's easy. I go, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have, I don't have my glasses on. You're gonna pick from your fruit category. You're going to look at the protein. You're going to look at your fat. And then you do the same thing for your mid-morning snack, your lunch, your afternoon snack, and your meals.
And you want to limit your fruit to 1 or 2 a day, only because fruit's excellent for you. Berries are lowest in sugar, and the reason why you want to limit your fruit to 1 or 2 a day is because they have good multivitamins, good minerals, good fiber in it, but it has a lot of sugar. And your body identifies it as sugar no matter what it's in. It could be a Snickers or it could be an apple. When it comes in, your body's like, yeah, sugar.
Right, and I think you think about guidelines with what are you going to set for yourself. For me, I only eat my fruit, well, most of the time, I only eat my fruit in the morning. So I have the rest of the afternoon to burn that natural sugar off.
There you go.
It gives me energy.
Hey, whatever works.
Mhm.
You know, if that works for you, that's great.
What was your analogy or your description when you eat healthy fats for our cells? You had a comment about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it made me think of the fact, and just had heard this, when you drink water, it's like an internal shower.
Yeah.
I just love that concept. You are going to also receive charts, or days of the week, 3 weeks, 21 days. Please, please, please take this part seriously. When you commit yourself to writing down Monday, what did I drink? What did I eat for breakfast? And then the next snack I ate. What are your choices? So you record what you eat. First of all, the nice thing with that is you probably will make much better choices.
Sure.
Second of all, you'll be able to look back and think about, well, did I have a good mix of the macros?
Mm-hmm.
My protein, what were my choices? Where did my carbohydrates? What did I choose for that? And
Hold you a little bit more accountable.
100% holds you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this from experience because I have done this for weeks on end, and looking back, that is how I cut out sugar. To become aware, this top of the mind awareness of what we are putting in our mouths. And with that, thinking about eating, we eat to feed our body to run properly. The trick is to not eat when you're emotional, or to just binge eat. Becoming aware, part of Rise Up 21 is building mindfulness over so many things about our lives, but what we are putting into our mouth. So many times we're eating unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one, especially with all of us having to be home more than we ever have. It's a tough one. It's an individual thing, and it's hard to speak in a general way about that because it's so unique and so individual.
Yes.
And I guess one of the things that comes to mind is trying to buy it so it's not in the house.
100%. The first
Yeah.
thing, and you may not know this because she's my guest, and the first thing that you were encouraged to do before this program even started was clean out your pantry. Go grocery shopping. This chart, I have people that literally take the chart and say, okay, well, I'm going to choose to buy these things.
Perfect.
You have worked with hundreds of people in regards to cleaning out their pantries, going on grocery tours, or grocery store tours.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone is going to clean out their pantry, what are your tips?
Oh boy. So real quick, going back to what we were talking about before, maybe just not purchasing it and having it in the house. Maybe brush your teeth, pop in a piece of gum
Great.
to help you from eating or binging on whatever it is. As far as taking things out of your pantry, anything processed with more than five ingredients in the box or the bag, I would say take out, because the more ingredients, the less good it is for you, the more processed it is. You really want to look for low ingredient boxes, low ingredient bags, or purchase whole foods. So if I was going to go into my pantry, I would pull out cereal. I mean, it's really, it doesn't really do much for you other than food, huge calories. Stuffing, all gratin potatoes in a box, things like that I would pull out, because a baked potato is so much better for you than the all gratins in a box. And so I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying perhaps go with whole food instead of a boxed food.
I'm glad you brought that up. We have moms, fathers of young children. We have families with teenagers. We have all ages in this program. So the suggestion is, if you have your own cabinet of the food that you're going to eat, that's okay.
Sure.
Tell yourself that all the other stuff just doesn't exist in your home. We understand, like, we have to live, and teenagers are going to gravitate towards certain things. We're not here to take care of everyone, although we can influence our family, but start with ourselves.
Absolutely.
Feel better about ourselves, and that will show to our family and our friends. So you don't have to go through and be wasteful, but just be mindful of food in your home. The other thing I wanted to mention is, so many times when we think about nutrition, we make it complicated by thinking, I have to have all these recipes. I have to know how to prepare all these different new foods. We don't have to do that.
I don't do that because that is so overwhelming to me, and I don't enjoy it. And so what I do is I look for recipes. If I'm even going to look for a recipe, I look for recipes that have 5-6 ingredients in it.
Okay.
A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a sweet potato and prick it a couple times, throw it in my microwave if I have time in my oven, grill some chicken, maybe a little seasoning on the grill, or bake it, and take some salad out of a box that's already washed and throw it in my bowl with some cut up tomatoes. And as simple as that sounds, that's super healthy, it's delicious, and it took me 15 minutes. And I'm not trying to minimize it. If you want to elaborate and make a great meal, go for it.
Right.
If you don't
Depends
enjoy
on your time and your interests.
If you don't enjoy being in the kitchen or you don't have enough time, try to keep it as simple as you can, and we can definitely help you with tips on how to keep it super easy.
Right.
Even rotisserie chicken from Walmart if you enjoy that.
Exactly, and just don't feel like the kitchen and food prep and all that has to be overwhelming. And just to mention, I thought, oh my gosh, every Sunday I'm gonna have to dedicate 3 hours in my home to food prep. It is fabulous to food prep. Do you food prep, or what are some things that you found helpful when you're thinking about, I have a busy week coming up? What can I do?
So that's a really good question. So when you have a busy week and you know you're going to be able to get to it, and food is an important aspect of your week, I think food prepping is a great idea. I do it, not often, it just depends on the week.
Sure.
If your pocketbook allows, at the grocery store, they have already cut up vegetables, fruits, and chicken breasts in their individual packages. So they make it really easy to purchase that type of items at the store. If your pocketbook doesn't allow, you can always get it cut up in the frozen food section, which when it's frozen, it is frozen at the peak of its ripeness. And potatoes come diced, onions come diced in the frozen food section. You can steam your vegetables in the bag or in the steamer. So you can turn to the frozen food section, which is cheaper than in the deli section where it's already cut up.
Right.
So those are choices to help you as far as getting it through the week. Crock pot is a great idea.
And we share now through the Rise Up program our Rise Up recipes. We are trying to keep them as simple as possible so that you can save time and still eat and feel good about what your nutrition is all about. Can you think of any other points that you want to share with everyone?
Well, with macros, a lot of people ask if that's important to calorie count with their macros, and what I would say is make sure you're getting your macros in, which you probably already are anyways, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. You probably are anyways, and I wouldn't really necessarily worry about counting your calories. I would more worry about getting those 3 categories in, because you're only going to eat so much of those 3 categories.
Right.
You're not going to stuff yourself on that.
Okay.
So I would say Don't worry so much about calorie counting as worry about getting, like Chris has her categories that she's going to share with you of the macros. Worry more about getting those 3 different areas into your diet. And when you do, you feel full, you feel satiated, and you're less likely to turn to choices that aren't as good for you.
Absolutely. And we talked about you have those 3 areas for your dinner. And if you're still hungry, it's okay to eat more. But if you incorporate the healthy foods that are working together to feed our bodies, more than likely we are going to be satisfied.
And I like the low ingredient diet, meaning how many ingredients does chicken have in it? Chicken.
Exactly.
How many ingredients does avocado have in it? 1 avocado. So
I feel like these are trick questions.
I know, right?
Oh, it's just one.
This one. So if you look at it that way, and if you're still hungry, have some more avocado, have some more
Right.
broccoli, have some more chicken. It's okay to eat good food. We give you permission to eat good food.
And again, it's being mindful, and we'll close with that. It is the 3 components: how we think, and that includes how we think about ourselves, but how we think about food, how we eat, and how we move. So when we're combining those 3 elements together, we honor ourselves, we respect our bodies, we make better choices. And if you are, because I know you are going to, putting onto paper what you're consuming, what I would encourage you to do is do this. Reach out to those people in your life that can give you input. You can reach out to me, but you can also reach out to Michelle, and I will share her email so that you can work with her on a separate basis. So many people join Rise Up 21 for different reasons. Some people need to really focus on their negative self-talk. A lot of people are joining because they know that their food and their nutrition is 100% their problem. Other people need to get off the couch and get their bodies moving. The trick is to combine all 3 of those elements for a lifetime and build positive habits and healthy habits that will keep us moving and feeling great about ourselves. So
Love it. And I would also add to that, try not to make yourself feel guilty. Movement is movement. Don't feel like you have to go to the gym,
right.
or it doesn't count. Walking around the block, breathing the fresh air, walking your dog, walking up and down the steps on a rainy day. Anything is great, and be proud of yourself that you did do that. No guilt.
I'm so glad you said that. 100%. If you just think, today, I'm going to do one thing a little different than what I did yesterday. Those days add up, and that equals results. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sure we will have you on many more times.
I would love it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. We'll talk.